What is a primary election? I know sometimes people hear that word and they tune out as if it's not important, but it absolutely is. So today I'm going to be breaking down what the primary elections are, who can vote in it, when does voting actually start, and why the primaries matter so much here in Pitt County. The primary election is the election that happens before the general election in November. Okay, so its job is very simple. It decides which candidates move forward for the final elections in November. Okay, the primary only happens when there are more than one person who wants the job that are in the same political party. Okay, so if there are 2 or 3 people from the same political party, people come out to vote in the primaries to decide who they want to represent them in that party in November. Hopefully I said that right. So let's just say there are 3 Democrats, right, who want to run for, let's say, District 5, right, in Pitt County, right, the Senate seat for District 5. It's obvious everybody can't be in that seat. So the Democrats will have to come out and decide which one of those 3 people they want to represent their party in November. So they got to come battle it out for that seat in the primaries. So let's talk about who can vote during this time. If you're a Democrat, you can only vote for a Democrat in the primary elections. Okay. If you are a Republican, you can only vote for a Republican in the primary elections. But if you are unaffiliated, you can decide who you want to vote for. So you'll have to choose whether or not you want a Democrat ballot or a Republican ballot, but you can't have both. So you'll have to make that decision once you do your research and go about it like that. So if you're unaffiliated, you have a little bit more flexibility to decide who you want to vote for. But if you are registered as a party, you can only choose your party. Okay, you can only pick one. So that's how that works for voting. So when does voting actually start? Well, for the primaries, voting actually starts January 12th. Okay, so that's when the mail-in ballots will go out. So the mail-in ballots is ballots that are actually paper ballots that are sent to your home, and you can fill it out during your leisure and return it. Okay, either by mail or dropping it off at a secure location. So you pretty much can vote for home instead of being outside at the polls. Okay, you have February 6th, 2026. That is the voter registration deadline. So you got to make sure that you are registered by February 6th to participate here. Early voting begins on February 12th. February 17th is the last day to request a mail-in ballot by 5 p.m. February 28th, 3 p.m. is when early voting ends. March 3rd is when the primary election happens. Okay, so voting day is March 3rd for the primaries. And the deadline to return your mail-in ballots is March 3rd at 7:30 p.m. Okay, so that is a timeline. I just wanted to make sure you guys had that because it is approaching very fast. Okay, so what does contested mean? So let's talk about that. So sometimes you might hear them throw around the word contested. Now, a contested race just means that like I said earlier, that there's more than one person who wants the job. Equals you have competition. Okay, and if it's uncontested, that means it's only one person in that party running. Okay, and that's why the primary matters, because you are going to decide who you want to be on that final ballot in November. So I want to give an example. Just hopefully I can break this down a little bit more. For District 9, okay, we know that our representative for District 9 is Representative Tim Reeder, okay, and he is a Republican, right? He doesn't have anybody that's going against him that's fighting in the primaries to represent the Republican Party in November. It's only him. So that is a uncontested race. So he automatically is that person that's going to represent the Republican Party in November. Okay. Now, on the other hand, the Democrats for District 9, right? They have 2 people. You have Claire Kipner and Linton Brown. So the Democrats will have to come out during the primaries and decide whether or not they want Claire Kempner or Linton Brown to represent their party in November to go against Representative Tim Reeder. So they gonna have to battle it out. So Democrats, is up to you who y'all want to be y'all representative to run against Representative Tim Reeder. Okay. So in Pitt County, some races are effectively decided in the primary, not in November. Okay. So you got the races like the county level offices, wow. Lord, your judicial races, the Board of Education races. These are so important. These races often have lower turnouts and less public attention. Okay, so fewer people come. Sometimes a lot of these races that I just named, a lot of them don't have opponents. Like, they already in there. They already getting congratulations because they don't have anybody running against them. I think I've seen a few people who are actually on the Board of Education, and I've seen before where a judge didn't have any opponent. So congratulations. Just want to put that out there. So it's very important to not miss these and actually know what's going on, because it will absolutely impact you locally. Okay, let's talk about the 30% rule. If you don't know, maybe you've heard the word runoff, right? I learned about that a couple of years ago. I had no idea what that meant. So in North Carolina, there's a rule. So to win a primary, a candidate must get at least 30% of the total votes cast in that race. Okay, so if 1,000 people voted in the primary race, okay, they need to get 300 votes minimum. Okay, so if no candidate gets those 300 votes, they can have a secondary primary, and that's called a runoff, right? And that runoff would happen on May 12th. Let's just say you have two Democrats running against each other to get that seat, to be able to be on a final ballot in November, and neither one of them gets that 30% threshold, right? Whoever came in second place can be like, you know what, I think we need to run that back, do a second primary, because for whatever reason they would like to do it. They don't have to do that, but they can. Okay, and that's how that will work. So who runs these elections? The elections in Pitt County, they are ran by the Pitt County Board of Elections. Okay, so they send the ballots, they run early voting, they set the polling locations, count votes, all of that. So that goes through your Pitt County Board of Elections. Now, I know a lot of you guys, well, who's actually running? Well, we're going to be talking about that in the next couple of weeks, who is actually running, so we can put some names to faces. You can actually see who's going to be on these ballots that y'all are going to hopefully be participating in. So I hope you guys are registered and ready to go in February. All right, because we're not just willy-nilly in. All right, we can't do that no more. No more willy-nilly at the polls. Okay, we got to know, do our little research so we can know about these people. And if they're already in office, we got to know what they have been up to these last couple of years. So that's what we're going to be breaking down in the next couple of episodes. Okay, so you guys stay tuned for that. And I hope y'all have an amazing day.